Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is story time with Aafia. Those of you who have been following the news in their perhaps childhood, or I would not say childhood, but teenage, or in their 20s or 30s, they must be remembering the massacre of Bosnia. You know Bosnia, right? It was a European country, and when Yugoslavia broke up into three parts, one of the states was Bosnia, which was a Muslim majority state, and since independence was taking place, just like independence took place in the subcontinent in 1947, and the Muslims took Pakistan and the Hindus took India. Similarly, the Bosnians, they were Muslims and they wanted to have an independent Muslim country, and they struggled for it too. But they were horribly and cruelly butchered. They were butchered by the people of the other two states who they wanted independence for themselves, but they were not willing to give independence to the Muslims. And this happened in the 90s, in the early 90s, and it was a very very horrific time for the Muslims, because the Muslims of Bosnia, they were very non-combatant, I would say, that they were unable to fight back. Not just the women, like normally when war happens, it's the women and children who are weak, but the boys and men of that place were also very weak because of the tarbiyah they had been given. They were unable to fight back and they were butchered horribly. So in such times, it was Aafia Siddiqui who raised awareness about their plight in USA, and she spoke for them, she lobbied for them, she rallied for them. And there's this beautiful episode about Aafia Siddiqui, that she spoke to a mosque full of men. And it was such a beautiful speech she made for the Bosnians, that she said that if any of you have two pairs of shoes, they should give one to the Bosnians, because Bosnians are right now totally helpless, without food, without clothes, without shelter. So it's our duty that, everything we have within our possession, we should share with the Bosnians. And her speech was so effective, it was so moving, it was so touching, that it is said that people in that mosque, they took off the pair of shoes that they were wearing and walked out of the mosque barefoot. They had donated their shoes for the Bosnians. So this is the kind of person Aafia was. And this is the kind of passion and compassion she had for her fellow Muslims and human beings. And yet, we as a nation are so incompassionate about her. We have not done much for Aafia. Had we done, just a little bit more, if we had given some of our time to Aafia, we had called out for her freedom, just like there was the movement, just like there was the lawyers movement in 2019, when people stepped out of their homes to have Justice Iftikhar Muhammad Chaudhry restored. So he was restored, right? So if we had done only half of it, or even quarter of it, I'm sure Aafia would have gotten released much earlier, much before. But it's our inactiveness. We blame the Pakistani government sometimes, we blame the American government sometimes, but I think actually we need to blame ourselves, because there's a reason behind everything. There's a reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took a person like Aafia Siddiqui into prison. Prison is a very tough test by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam was also put in prison, remember? But there was a purpose behind it. So when I think about Aafia Siddiqui, I think the purpose behind her is that Allah chose her because she was such a pure soul. Nobody could, think bad or evil things about her, imagine her to be a terrorist or whatever that she has been accused of. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted this woman to be placed in such a situation that the Muslim nation will learn to speak, will learn to struggle, would learn to stand up for their rights, because they would say, hey, this is such an innocent woman who is in custody of the Americans and being tortured, we really need to do something about it. So by this process, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted us to awaken as a nation, awaken as responsible, conscious citizens. But alas, I think we are still in our slumber and not doing much except for, if you get a holiday, we want to rest. If you get an early time off, we want to rest. And if there's some special day like 14 August or 6 September, any such day, we just want to rest. So we are a nation prone to resting. We just want to rest, have fun, sleep, eat, drink, be merry. That's the kind of thing we are doing with our lives. And very few of us are struggling, which is the actual purpose of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala putting Aafia Siddiqui in this situation. And we are failing ourselves and we are failing Aafia Siddiqui.